All right, today we're going to talk about compound interest. So let me put that title here. And it's compound interest. Just put that as a capital C and this here. The objective of the lesson will be about solving problems involving compound interest. So objective is to solve problems involving compound interest. All right, let me just put that as blue. All right. Now, many of you already know about simple interest, right? Where you would only earn interest on your original amount. But compound interest is a bit more than that. It's about earning interest on both the original amount and the interest you've earned before. All right. So basically, the money starts working to make even more money for you. So let me tell you first what compound interest is, then I will give you a formula and we'll try a couple problems so you can get the hang of it. The first question you want to ask yourself is, what is compound interest? So let me just put that here, yellow, oopsie, there, yellow. What is compound interest? Right, and then we're going to put that little definition here so that you would know about it. So compound interest is just simply, as I said, interest on interest. It means that you're going to earn interest not only on the amount that you invest or the amount that you borrow, but you're also going to get interest on the interest that you're accumulating over the time periods. So it's basically snowballing as you go along, or basically getting bigger and bigger, right? So the longer you leave it, the bigger it grows. So when you have compound interest to deal with, as say for instance as a loan, you want to get rid of that as quickly as possible because it gets larger very fast. And if it is that you have it in terms of somebody paying you compound interest, you want that to last as long as possible because you want as much money as you can get from it. So let me just put a little note here about compound interest. The compound interest is the interest calculated on the principal and the accumulated interest. All right, so that's a very small note for you there. And let's talk about now the formula, and I'll define each one of the parts of the formula. So let me just put the formula down here. So the formula is A equal to P into 1 plus R over 100 into capital T. All right, let me explain what each one of these terms means. So the A here that we have, this is the total amount of money after the interest is added. So this here would be the total amount. The P is the principal, and it's basically the initial amount of money that you start with, and you already know that from the previous simple interest lesson. The R is basically the interest rate as a percentage per compounding period. Like for example, if you have an interest added every month or every quarter or every year, that rate percent is what you have R representing. Interest rate. Then finally you have T. T is nothing more than the total number of compounding periods that you have. Let's say, for example, that you have interest added every month or you have interest added every quarter. It's basically how long you're going to have that interest adding on. So like say you can have it added for every month for 24 months, or you can have it every year for 50 years. Okay, so this here is basically the total number of compounding periods. So total number of compounding periods. All right. Now, this formula may look like it's a big thing, but it's not. Trust me. Once you understand it, it's easy to use. And all you need to identify is the values, plug them in, and the formula will do the rest. Let's look at an example, and you'll see what I mean by that. Let's say you invest $1,000. Let me just write down the problem first, actually. Okay, let's say this is the first problem. So let's say you have $1,000 and you have a rate of 5% per month, an interest rate of 5% per month, and you're going to keep this investment for about 2 years. You want to find out how much money you will have after the 2 years. So the first thing we want to do is identify the terms that we have. We want to identify things like your principal, which is $1,000. We want to identify the rate, which is 5% per month. And then we're going to keep that investment for 2 years so that we can figure out our time period or how many intervals of interest that we have. So let me write these down. So I'm going to say here the principal would be equal to $1,000, right? Then I'm going to say that the rate is going to be equal to 5%. And then I'm going to say that the time period, T, is going to be equal to 2 times 12, right? So that is 24 time periods or 24 months, right? So in the time period of 2 years, there's going to be 24 months because we know 12 months in a year, and we're getting interest at 5% every month. So we want to find out how many months in that 2 years. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. Now, as I said, all you have to do is just simply plug these into the formula. So the formula is A is equal to the principal, open bracket, 1 plus the rate divided by 100 by the time intervals. And we can see right away that the amount would be equal to 1,000 into 1 plus the rate of 5 over 100, close bracket, and then raised to the power of 24. Now, you would have to check this on your calculator. All right, so this is the calculator. Let's try and put this in here. So we're going to type in 1,000, open bracket. We're going to have 1 plus, we're going to write a fraction here of 5 over 100. Then we're going to close the bracket, and then we're going to raise it to the power of 24. Press equal. I can put this to 2 decimal places, so since I'm dealing with money, so I can say setup, I can say FSE, I can say fixed, which is 0, and I'm looking at 2 decimal places, so 2, and I get my answer as 3225.10. Right, so my amount A is equal to 3225.10. All right, so this is the amount of money that you're going to accumulate in the investment after that 2-year period. Let's try another problem. This is the next problem. Let's first identify the things that we need to take note of. So we have our principal, we have our interest, we have the compounding period, which is every quarter, and then we have 4 years that we're looking at total time. So let's start first by writing down what the principal is. So the principal is equal to 5,000. The rate would be equal to 6%. And then let's look at the time period now. So the time period is every quarter. What does a quarter mean? A quarter means a quarter. And we're looking at quarterly, so that means every year, which has 12 months. We're going to break that up into quarters. And then we're going to see that, oh, well, if it is 12 months in a year, and we're looking at quarters for every interest rate, and we're doing that for 4 years, then this year would cancel this year, and we'll have 12 intervals over which we will experience a 6% interest on the amount that we borrow. So let's plug this into the formula, and we'll get the answer. So we have A would be equal to 5,000 into 1 plus 6 divided by 100. And then we have 12 periods during which we will charge interest on this 5,000. Let's do that on the calculator now. So we're going to have 5,000, open bracket, 1 plus the rate of 6 over 100. And then we're going to close the bracket and raise that to the power of 12. And our answer is $10,060.98. So A would be equal to $10,068.90. This is the amount you pay if you pay absolutely nothing on the amount that you borrow. All right? Let's go on to some exercise problems now. I will solve these exercise problems tomorrow, but I'll give it to you today so that you can get some practice on it and see if you can solve the problems on your own. All right, so this is some exercise problems with some realistic rates. If you notice, the ones that I provided to you, 6%, let's face it, you're not getting 6% every quarter, and you're not getting 5% every month. No kind of interest rate works like that most of the time in Trinidad. What you would find is interest rates like this, 0.4% per month, or you might find interest rates 0.6% per month, or even 1% a quarter. All right, so I'm giving you some realistic type questions that you're going to get off of the banks, most of the banks in Trinidad and Tobago, and try these questions. If you have any problems, leave it in the comments. I'll answer you as soon as I can. And Monday for the next lesson, we'll solve these before we move on to the next topic. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.